Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I've just seen Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. So let's talk about it. Wake Up Dead Man is the third entry in the Knives Out trilogy, directed once again by Rian Johnson. I gotta say, I absolutely love the first two films. Knives Out and Glass Onion, I think they were terrific films, really well made, well crafted, well told stories. And after seeing the announcement for this film, I couldn't be more excited. I think Rian Johnson does a great job with these films. And I just recently watched it, and I gotta say, Rian Johnson, you knocked it out of the park because this was another great entry in this amazing franchise. Okay, like the first two films, this time around, the story is different. It is a standalone sequel to Glass Onion, but it doesn't continue anything from that, like how Glass Onion didn't continue from Knives Out. Okay, once again, the film revolves around a murder that is set in a small town church, and Benoit Blanc, the main character, has to find out what has happened, who did it, and prove this young priest innocent. Like the first two films, the narrative and the story of this one was really captivating from start to finish. I was super invested in everything that was going on, the storyline, the mystery of it, the backstory that they were telling, the intentions of the characters. I thought it was very well crafted, well written, and it felt very modern in its storytelling and the references that they were making, like to Netflix, obviously, because Netflix distributed this film. Just like what is going on in America and how the political and the religious side is perceived. I thought that was very interestingly told. It worked for me, but I can see it not working for many other people. Because the film is set in a church, the whole religious themes and how the church operates behind the scenes did shed a light on some of unseen truths that I wasn't aware of, and it probably happens more often than we think. I don't want to cast the blame on anyone. After all, this film is fictional, but to see a church operating behind the scenes like this was very interesting to see. And the whole murder mystery of it, how greed changes people, and the Eve's apple, the symbolism and the themes of that was dealt very smartly, and I really loved that aspect of the film. The other thing I also loved was the cinematography. I thought it was absolutely stellar. The film was gorgeous to look at, it was so well shot, great use of lighting, and the church window effects in some of the scenes, like the stained glass, was so well made. I was really impressed with it, and the whole film had this like cold yet warmly vibe to it. I was really a fan of that. The production design was great. It fit the story and the theme. It was, like I say, it felt cold yet very cozy, which these Knives Out films do all have in common. So yeah, that aspect I have to praise a lot because it was really done so well. Because of how well shot this film was, I wish I saw it in the cinema. It had a limited run to it, but being a Netflix film, like I said, it's a limited run, not in every cinema. I missed it out on it, so that was one of my regrets. Okay, the main part, the cast. How is it? It is stacked. Obviously, the film stars Daniel Craig once again as Benoit Blanc, and I gotta say, he is so good in this film. He just took the character and made it his own. He's so colorful. He is fun to watch. He's funny, knows when to be serious. It's just Daniel Craig really knocks it out of the park. He is Benoit Blanc. And I gotta say, the character design of him in this film was probably my favorite. I love the suit he wore and the longer hair he had. I thought that was a really great look for the character. Like the previous two films, obviously, this film stars a bunch of sporting characters, and like I said, it is absolutely jam-packed with names. Josh O'Connor, Glenn Close, Josh Brolin, Mila Kunis, which I was very surprised I didn't know that she was in this film, Jerry Renner, which was very good to see, Kerry Washington, Andrew Scott, Kaylee Spaney, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, Thomas Hayden Church, Jeffrey Wright, and Daryl McCormack. This film, like the first two films, like I said, feature a great cast of characters. Every actor did a great job, but I gotta say, Josh O'Connor, Glenn Close, and Josh Brolin were the standouts for me. I gotta give big praises to Josh O'Connor. He really carried this film with Daniel Craig. He embodied this young priest character Judd, and he was so good in this role. He was a very strong character, well written, well established. And to be honest, in the first half of the film, he was the main character. So to see his journey from start to finish was very rewarding, and I really enjoyed watching him. I gotta say, Josh Brolin was really funny in this film. I didn't expect the humor to come from him. But now this brings to my negatives. I wish this film was a bit more funnier. That's what I enjoyed from the first two films. It was a bit, silly and had smartly written jokes. I'm not saying this film doesn't feature humor, and I don't need humor in my films, but I'm so used to it from the first two films. I wish it carried over a little more in this one. I thought it was a bit on the too serious side, but saying that, it does feature some jokes that really did crack me up. The rest of the cast was good. They did a good job, but I felt that they weren't that integral to the overall story and they didn't continue the plot forward right up until the end. So I felt like the supporting cast was a little bit wasted in this film. It was mainly about Daniel Craig and Josh O'Connor's character, and obviously Josh Brolin and Glenn Close, but I wish the others did play a bigger role. Like, I was never really guessing who did it. The mystery of the murder was tackling the idea of how the murder was done rather than who committed the murder. But don't get me wrong, they're still trying to figure out who did the murder. But like I said before, I felt like the idea of how the murder was done was more important to the story than who did it. The reveal at the end really got me. I thought it was so smartly written and so well executed. It really did pay off big time. I really love that ending. I could have guessed it, but to be honest, I did not really see it coming on how they achieved the murder. I think I was expecting the film to be like the first two films where Benoit Blanc is trying to find the murderer, but rather than that, we got a film where he's trying to prove this young priest innocent. And it is not what I expected, but that's not negative because I absolutely love this approach. It really makes this film stand on its own. Like every film in the trilogy has a different feel to it, which I really appreciate, and Rian Johnson does a great job with these films. So at the end of the day, how is the film? I gotta say, it is really great. It is as good as the first two Knives Out trilogy films, and this Knives Out trilogy that Rian Johnson, Daniel Craig, and the rest of the cast built out is definitely a standout in modern cinema. Honestly, I couldn't recommend it more. If you love a murder mystery film, this is right up your alley. And these are some of my favorite mystery films out there. And like I said, Rian Johnson has perfected the formula in his own way, which I absolutely love. And I hope him and Daniel Craig make 20 more of these films because I cannot get enough of them. So, what did you think of Wake Up Dead Man, and what's your favorite film in Knives Out trilogy? I gotta say, mine is probably the second one, Glass Onion, but all of them are equally great and I love these films so much. Let me know down below. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see everyone on the next video.